Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Reed Sawyer, Director of Information Services from Slade Centers. In our last session, we talked about lease options. Today I'd like to talk about how to go ahead and put a tenant buyer into the property. You're going to say, Reed, why do I worry about putting a tenant buyer into the property? Why not just a tenant? I have a couple of good reasons. Do you mind if we go ahead and go through those? First of all, let's look at the difference between renters and leasing. A renter, imagine that you have a car rental company right at the base of Pikes Peak, and you rent cars to go up to Pikes Peak and to the peak of Pikes Peak and then come down again. What are cars going to do all the way down? They're going to be slamming on their brakes, and it'll just, by the time they get down, those brakes will be shot. Do they care? No. Why? Because they're renters. Now, on the other hand, let's say that you had a leasing company, and those people are going to hold that property for 3 or 4 years, and at the end of that lease, probably they're going to go ahead and purchase the property, purchase the house. Purchase the car. Do you think they will baby that car and they will treat it well, and they're not going to go up and down Pikes Peak just for fun? Probably. So the difference is a renter doesn't really care what happens to the property because it's not theirs mentally. It's just a rental. They're going to use it, abuse it, trash it. They walk out, security deposit, who cares? They had fun not taking care of the property. A tenant buyer is going to lovingly maintain and take care of that property because they're going to own it at the end of that time. Now, how do we get that different mindset? The answer, of course, is the non-refundable option fee. You're going to say, Reed, what is a non-refundable option fee? They're going to lease the property, they're going to rent it, with the option to purchase it in 2 years. So let's use really simple numbers. Let's say the purchase price right now would be $100,000. And we say that historically we've had a 5% appreciation on these properties per year. So at the end of 1 year, the purchase price would be $105. At the end of 2 years, it'd be roughly $111. So why don't we go ahead and set this up for $110,999 as the purchase price at the end of 2 years. And what we do is we set that up so they're contracted to purchase this property at the end of 2 years. Now, the next step is we have to have a non-refundable option fee. And the non-refundable option fee should be at least 3 to 5% of the option price. So between $3,000 and $5,000. If we have anything less than that, in the tenant buyer's mind, it's still just a rental. It's just 1 month security deposit. And so they don't think of themselves as buyers. So we want to have the non-refundable option fee be large enough that it is important to them. Otherwise, you're just going to treat it as a rental. And you're going to say, okay, Reed, what does this non-refundable mean? That means that if they purchase the property, at the time they execute, that non-refundable option fee will be converted 100% towards a down payment. If they don't buy it, if they don't execute the option to purchase, who keeps that non-refundable option fee? You do. If you say deposit, who keeps that non-refundable option fee? It's not a non-refundable option fee because it's a deposit and they do. So who do you want to keep the money? You or them? So always say non-refundable option fee, which shall be converted 100% to a deposit, to a down payment, if they execute the option. If you don't have that language in there and they cancel the option, guess who keeps the money? Number 2, we want to make sure that we have 2 different contracts. We have an option and we have a lease agreement. The lease agreement should show what the market rent is, and they're paying the market rent each month. The option fee states that if they execute all the terms according to the lease, at the end of 2 years, or any time before then, they have the option to purchase the property at the agreed upon price. And next, when you're doing this non-refundable option fee, you want to give them an incentive to exercise it. So let's say that the market rent, just for fun, is $1,000 a month. And we say, you know, what we'd really like to do is we want to give you an incentive to purchase the property in 2 years. And we want to go ahead and help you save up for the down payment. So what we'll do is, the rent is $1,000. If you want to make an additional payment, we'll give you a twofer. You can say, Reed, what's a twofer? Let's say they give an additional $100 a month for option fee payment. If they give an additional $100 a month for option fee payment, that's above the rent, so it's $1,000 plus an additional $100. That $100 will knock $100 off the purchase price and will add $100 towards their non-refundable option fee. So we give them a 2-for-1 credit. If they give us $200, we give them $400. $200 off the purchase price, $100 towards the non-refundable option fee. But you have to have 2 separate checks for that. Otherwise, they'll say the whole amount is the non-refundable option fee. It isn't. You got the rent and the non-refundable option fee on top of that. Now, why would I do that? Remember, the property is worth $100,000 and I have the purchase price at $111,000. At the end of 2 years, if I got another $100 a month, for 24 months that's $2,400, I gave them $4,800 in credits. So I'm losing $2,400. But on the other hand, would I give up $2,400 to have an additional $100 a month in cash flow? You better believe it. Because that cash flow is money right now. And I'll gladly go ahead and do that. If they give me $200, would I give them $400? Yes, as long as the numbers make sense. Remember, you probably didn't buy it for $100. You might have bought this for $85. And so you have a lot of profit there. Would you give up profit on the end to have cash flow right now, every day of the week? And so I gladly do a 2-for-1 every day. 2 separate checks, market rent, non-refundable option fee payment, which shall be converted to a down payment if they execute the option. And finally, you want to go ahead and tell them right up front, I'm going to put you into this property, even though your credit isn't perfect right now, but you're going to have to work with me. And I want you to make a vow to me, a pledge to each other, that if I do this, you'll go ahead and make the payments, and that you'll execute the option at the end of 2 years. What happens if they don't? You've done everything in your power. You gave them a twofer. You went ahead and put them into a property and treated them just like they owned the property. So if they walk out, it's because it was their fault, not because of anything that you did. So you went above and beyond to help them. And if you do that, you're probably not going to have any problems with that tenant because they swore to you they were going to execute that option. Now what happens if they don't? Who keeps the money? You do. Now, could you give them some of that money back? It depends. If they gave me $50,000, I might give them $10,000 back, but it's a non-refundable option fee. My late Aunt Betty had a lease option house. She put the tenant buyers in there. They gave her a couple $1,000 non-refundable option fee. At the end of 6 months, they wanted out. And they said, give us back our option fee. And she said, what part of non-refundable do you not understand? We're going to sue. We're going to take you to court, she says. Go for it. So they went to court. The judge looked at the documents and he turned to the buyers and says, what part of non-refundable do you not understand?